Hello beautiful and lovely people, this is Unassisted Dec here. The channels from the Sprites always have so much information that doesn't come through in the channel, and that's the dog making a noise. If you've heard that on other channels, he whinges a lot. Anyway, there is always so much in the channels that don't get said. They arrive as a multi-dimensional message, and I have to pick my way through, or rather they show me the way through to get out the essentials and to hold the energy of the content. What they were saying yesterday was a picture of what is possible, and I know from my own perspective, and I'm sure from many of yours, that it's difficult to grasp that totally. Because the mind immediately says, well, if I stub my toe on a paving stone, that's going to hurt. How can that not be? But the decisions are all made at higher levels of consciousness. So if we start where everything starts, which is the one void, and the one void immediately differentiates into the one and the void. The one being the creative part, what we end up seeing as manifestation, and the void being the receptive part, that which experiences the manifestation. And that initial differentiation becomes the yin and the yang. It becomes truth and non-truth, one truth, no truth, and from the core there, the experience of being one in the void is being conscious of nothing, and the experience of being the void in the one is being conscious of everything simultaneously in one moment. All eternity, all infinity, all meaning, everything collapsed into the one moment. And it's not very useful because it just is. And for us to be able to understand that, it's not that the one void has any need to understand, it's just a natural expansion of the logic that arises from the plain differentiation between literally mathematical naught and one. From that initial differentiation, the differentiation continues, and from our perspective we see that as a condensation. So from infinite perspectives of everything, it channels down and down and down and down until we have this little perspective view we have here. So from the point of view as the one as being like the trunk of a tree, you can see extending branches and twigs getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and we're on the very tiniest twigs at the very end of the branches. And each time we take a diversion off a branch, and another diversion, and another diversion, that's a choice. And once the choice is made, it becomes a belief, and out of that belief we have judgment. So what the Sprites are saying is that it is possible, because our consciousness truly is actually free, that we can choose to be in any branch and experience any reality we want to. So we get stuck with this continued belief and judgment into believing that all this reality around us is true, and that we are the person that has lived the life that we think we've lived, and that humanity has lived the history that we believe it has lived. And it's been interesting, especially in the recent years, of seeing new discoveries of potential histories. What didn't come out in the message last night was that also every person has their own individual history, and that history is the one that's real for you. It's obvious we each lived a different life, so yes, our personal history is different, but also the actual total history. If you believe that God made the universe 6,500 years ago in 7 days, and you live by that, then that is your reality. if you believe the Big Bang Theory and all the chemistry and the physics in that, that's your reality, that's the reality you experience. But what the sprites are saying is that it's not that any of this actually happened, we have a resonance which is us now, and that resonance projects backwards in time its own explanation, and also projects forwards our expectations. So at any moment we're like in a crossroads. That moment now is the one we're experiencing, and there are all sorts of potential histories and pasts that come into that moment, and all sorts of futures that project off from that moment. And the only real thing is the moment now that we are experiencing. And we can choose that, because the only thing there is the resonance of the complex frequencies of the resonance of our consciousness, and when we change that, reality changes around us. I've seen broken bones disappear. I've experienced passing through things. I've seen the laws of physics change around me. Most of these are so that I can survive undamaged, or at least reasonably undamaged. But so the whole reality around us is entirely mutable. What they're saying is, if you continue, we're not saying, how can we do this? The only thing each of us can do is be us in this moment. Whatever that is, if that's a stressed us, then we have to accept being that stressed person. If it's a suffering us, we have to accept being that suffering person. Before we can release that to be able to change, without ownership, without accepting you are the person you are right now, there's nothing you can do about it. You just become a victim of that. So we can certainly heal ourselves. We've seen a variety of healings, and I used to be a healer, and I was confused between the ones that I could heal, quite dramatically sometimes, and the ones that I was completely useless on. And it's not my decision, it's their decision as to whether they accept the healing, and from that perspective they've produced me as a reflection for them to be able to heal themselves. I'm really not doing anything as a healer. We each heal ourselves by changing our own internal resonance to be a different person, a wholer person, a healthier person, a happier person, a more joyous person. And so the sprites are giving this absolute view that we can be anything we want, absolutely anything in this moment now. But there is a recognition that we are restricted. We've chosen this moment for a reason, and as soon as we know the reasons, we can release ourselves from the moment. So from my experience, when you understand the cause, the inner cause of your suffering, then you're free to change it and cease to be suffering. But it's always the inner cause. If you look outside and say, well, I just bashed my shin on the table, therefore it hurts, you're stuck with a shin that hurts. If instead you internalize and shift your consciousness to a place where you didn't hit your shin and it doesn't hurt, the pain literally can go away. And you can quite literally become a different person. Some people have translocated, found themselves in different areas. They've just changed the vibration to be in a vibration of someone that's in a different place. And personally I'm looking forward to flying, because I know that's going to be coming soon. So the sprites are really introducing this idea to let it permeate out into reality, that we do have the choice, that we're not the victims of the history of humanity. We have the choice as to whether we're genetically created by aliens, or created in a few days by God, or or whether we're completely victims of science and physics. We have a choice as to which of those realities belongs to us. And so they're saying, yeah, you can, if your motivation is to search through history and try and understand how everything happened, that becomes you. That becomes the person you are. But if you instead look inside and choose your own history, decide the history that you want to experience, you resonate with that. It's the constant battle between people going, no, you've got to be concerned about this suffering, and yeah. If you are feeling concerned, that's you. You have to accept that. But what the Sprites and I are saying is you don't have to. And this is really the essence of Ho'oponopono and of the film that came out, The Secret, and the essence of magic through all time is that you select the reality you choose, and if you do it with enough focus and enough true inner belief, that is a reality you get. So they're giving us a message of freedom to be who you want to be. And personally, I choose love, happiness and joy, and as much laughter as I can find. So with that, I shall love you and leave you. Bye-bye.